Well, hello everybody, and welcome back to another incredible episode of the Accommodation Show. This week, I'm joined by the incredible Heidi Henrisken. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Bart. Thanks for getting my name right, too. I appreciate it.
I was so scared. It's my number one biggest fear. If anyone knows me, what happens, I start recording and I get really nervous about the name because I can know someone that I've known for 10 years, 20 years, but as soon as I have to introduce them to someone else, I freeze up because I'm like, if I get this wrong, I'm in a lot of trouble. So I'm glad I nailed it the first time around.
Yeah. Kudos to you. Thank you.
I got there.
I'm really excited to be here. Thank you so much.
Yeah, a real pleasure. One of those episodes that I've been wanting to do for a while because our relationship only started probably about 1.5 to 2 years ago. And it was around a conference in Boise, Idaho, and it was at Northwest Vacation Rental, NVWRP. You see the name? It's been superseded by VR Nation, which they launched their conference 1.5 years ago. And now Heidi is the person who's leading the helm and leading the charge. And the reason why I wanted to get you on the show is because what you're achieving on a shoestring budget and as a solo person is incredibly impressive and incredibly important. So I want everyone to hear your story, your journey, and what's happening at VR Nation. So first off, congrats, and how are you?
I'm excited. There is so much happening this year. I don't even know where to begin. I'm just trying to keep my head on straight. But I certainly can't take all the credit. It's not just me. We do have a crew of people. We have a ton of volunteers. And so it takes a village is what I keep coming back to. And that's how we're making everything happen that we've got online for this year. So
yeah, amazing. Look, there's roadshows happening all over the place. We just talked about them. I believe there's 18 stops across the country. You've got your national conference coming up in April. And then there's the whole rebrand. There's websites, there's memberships. It's a real big complex puzzle. And I think that the volunteer memberships side of it is something I'm going to come back to and talk to you about because I really want to teach other organizations how they can, why it's important what they do, but how they can leverage their community to really drive change and progress and that sort of thing. But let's rewind a step or two. Bit of an intro into Heidi and also the formation of VR Nation and where it's why it came to be.
Yeah, happy to. So I've actually been in the industry for about 26 years now. I started as a host when I was in aviation, and I rented properties to my clients that were coming in for flight training for 2 weeks at a time because I live in a small town in Oregon and hotel options were just few and far between. And so it just kind of opened the doorway to short-term rentals, even pre-Airbnb. And I think Vrbo was just starting to make a name for themselves. So found I really loved the industry and continued forward through it in various different aspects on the vendor side, on the property management side. And then during COVID, I co-founded a nonprofit called Astra. And so that's the Association for Short-Term Rental Homeowners, and kind of a well-known association for those self-managing hosts that didn't have anywhere to go for resources or networking or to connect and really learn best practices from each other. So that's where the nonprofit side of my career path came into play. Yeah. And the whole rebrand that happened with NWVRP, you almost had the acronym right.
I've been presented there as well a few years ago. So, but it's interesting how a name can change so quickly, right? It wasn't because I didn't care about the old name. It's just the new one superseded it so strongly.
Sure. And they did a fantastic job. They actually pulled the industry for that name when they did the rebrand. So, but our roots go back to 2011, and we always did a regional conference that was normally in the Pacific Northwest where our roots come from. And then the rebrand happened and we expanded nationally. And the fuel behind that rebrand was really looking at the industry as a whole and seeing a lot of fragmentation and a lot of need on a more granular level. And so our board of directors decided they wanted to get more involved. They wanted to get back to the industry, and they didn't want it to just be in the Pacific Northwest. So we expanded nationally. You saw us in Boise right before the cusp of all this happened. And we did our first annual conference in Austin last year, which was a fantastic success. And now we're just charging forward with these roadshows and going to the people. We have our big conference, but we've also found that not everyone can afford to go to those big events. They're
Mm,
expensive to take a big team.
yeah.
So our board of directors said, let's go to the people. Let's bring them the education, the networking. Let's help them raise standards in the industry and really help this industry grow up a bit. So
Yeah.
that's where we're coming from.
That's fascinating because with Astro, you kind of you're already kind of halfway in that space of going and working a bit more locally, working with people that might not have 50 properties or 100 or 1,000 properties under management, and they're just kind of maybe either trying to do it as a supplementary income or trying to make it their main income and maybe managing a few properties or not understanding the industry as a whole, or maybe even just having one property and just not knowing how to manage compliance, how to manage their guests and all that sort of stuff. So you would, I'm going to kind of argue that you are the demographic you're going to go and visit, or you were the demographic you're going to go and visit. So you understood all of those pains and those tribulations, and not being able to spend $1,000 or $2,000 or even $5,000 to go to a conference.
100%. I did. I came from that mindset in the very beginning. And then I created a program at a channel manager that worked with those individuals. So I
Mm,
really got into the weeds of what's their mindset? What are their challenges? What do they need help with? And they had no organization to go to back pre-COVID timeframe.
yeah.
So many of them, interestingly, think they know everything and they're kind of stay in my lane. I don't need any help.
Are you offending the audience you're going to go and visit?
But on the flip side, then all of a sudden they see these great resources come out, or they get to know other people in the industry and they realize, oh, I can be more involved. And that's kind of the story of how many property managers now that are professional with these fantastic, thriving businesses. But they came
Mhm.
from a place where they started with one, two, maybe three properties. And the next thing you know, your neighbor's saying, hey, will you help me? Will you manage my house for me? And then boom, you've got a property management business before you realize it.
Yeah, I love it. We're going to talk a bit about community, because community is something that I felt when I went to Boise, and that was probably why I really enjoyed the conference. Um, I really didn't know that many people. I kind of knew them online and maybe met a few of them at the RMA, and Brian Olson was a big person that I kind of lent into, going, "Hey, hook me up, get me involved," and then so he helped me in that sense. And then when I came, I just remember going to different bars and being invited to a birthday of someone I don't know at all, and they've got free food and stuff. And I was like, oh, this is really nice. It's a really community focused event and community focused get together so that, you really feel that a lot of the seriousness wasn't there and, mucking around and doing silly, like, cleaning competitions like with Dirk, and it's silly, right? Like, I mean, what's the point? The point is just to have a bit of fun, right? Like to get together and build some relationships that you wouldn't be able to without those sorts of things. And now they're infamous, right? With with those events. Um, what I'm really interested. So I understand all of that, right? That's the I guess the natural part. One of the things that you said, and I remember talking to you when you first took on the role, was, you got a mountain of work, but you also talked about that community and those people that are working behind the scenes, and they're coming together to support your work and to support VR Nation as a whole. Um, I'll talk about the people in a second and what their profiles are like and why they do it. But who's setting the sort of the goal and the vision of the organization so that people can then rally around it, and who's driving that to then go, all right, we're going to go and do all these different things?
That's a really great question. I've never been asked quite in that depth, but I do want to reference really quickly what you said about the feeling at our Boise conference that you attended. I like to call that the VR Nation vibe because it feels like you're coming back to a reunion. You're connecting with a bunch of friends that you get to see once a year. And I'd known every member of our board of directors before joining this role, and I respected them. They were incredible people that had a lot of passion for this industry and giving back. And that's what drew me into this role more than anything. And I get to continue to work with those individuals to this day. And that's really what's fueling all of our initiatives. So we meet on a monthly basis with our board of directors, and
Mhm.
then we have two separate retreats each year. where all of our board members come together, decide
Oh,
what are our goals, what are we doing next, how are we moving forward. Yes, I'm kind of out there steering the ship right now, but they're helping me plot the GPS coordinates, so to speak.
yeah, yeah.
And
Okay.
they're all
They're answering the question anyway. Like, I feel that, because you're getting it through that community. So really, it has become a community of kind of friends that have come together to create direction. How do we protect against egos getting involved? Because that's one of the biggest challenges that I found is that quite often, you'll have supplier X trying to push in this way. You'll have another big company that wants to go in one direction, then you'll have small mum and dad hosts that are like, oh god, this is completely irrelevant. Like there's kind of this mismatch and a bit of a power play as well, which can be quite hard unless it's kept in check. And that once again, maybe that vision of why we're doing what we're doing.
I like to call it competitive collaboration because there is more than one nonprofit association in this space. There's multiple. There's multiple in the hotel world and other lodging aspects. So our board of directors are all individual property management company owners. That is a
Hmm.
requirement to be on our board of directors. Now we have other advisory boards, just to be
Yeah,
clear,
right.
but the main board that fuels all of our initiatives, that's the background. And they're
Any
the
any
owner.
tech, any suppliers or tech companies in there?
Nope.
Ah, okay.
Everyone.
This is great. This is really great.
So they're
So
in
keep
the
going.
weeds, right? They're running their businesses on a day to day and understand the challenges of what people in their shoes are facing. And so that's what we try to bring to the table and that's what we try to address. So
Mhm.
there's that board of directors that are fueling so much, but then we have 5 separate advisory boards. That's the opportunity where people in the industry can come in and get involved from a vendor side, from an industry thought leader. If you're an individual host, if you're a property manager or somebody on a team, those advisory boards, they focus on event planning. They focus on advocacy. Another one is membership growth. And then a fourth is technology. So we're doing a lot to try and help the industry with those advisory boards. I think probably the biggest one that's happening right now is our education board, because this is almost now 40 people, if you can believe, on this board, but they're all contributing content
Right.
from an education perspective that's going to become free to be our nation members. And this is based on 10 pillars of excellence in property management or hosting. So it's
Yeah.
basically anyone who's hosting, whether you're doing it yourself with one home or you've got a team of 100 employees, you can get them safety certified, but it goes
Yeah.
so much deeper than just the initial safety certifications that exist. Revenue management, same thing. There's not just a 101, there's a 201, there's a 301 course. And this is all unfolding throughout this year in conjunction with a lot of our live events.
Yeah, right. I love it. When does that actually launch officially? Is it because when is it? I'll be at the conference, won't it? It'll be April.
Some of it does start to launch in April, conveniently. Yeah, it's called VR Nation Pro Academy, and so we'll launch the first 4 pillars, I believe, in April in our Denver
Yeah.
conference. Then a few more will come out in the summertime in July, and then the remainder in November. So it'll kind of be a progression this year.
Amazing. Don't hold any of us to this, by the way. This is all until it's launched. It's launched, right? But I'm teasing a bit because, like, I'm thinking, when is it going to be? I'm like, obviously the conference. So look, there'll be more. I guess there'll be stuff coming all the time, right? Which is cool. So that's such a great insight to understand that you've got community and how that community comes together. And I quite like the idea of property managers doing it, being on the board. Is the board a paid board or are they all volunteers?
They're all volunteers.
Gotcha. And then is it kind of like real sort of super official? So going through all the right, where you've got elections and the whole thing to got it.
Absolutely. They
Um,
hold a 2-year seat, and then you can progress into the executive team on the president, vice president team,
gotcha.
which would come with a little bit longer term. So, like Brian Olson, you mentioned, he's in our past president seat right now.
Yeah.
And then also, interestingly, our board of directors does hold a seat for an enterprise type of property management company,
Yeah.
as well as an RBO, we call it rental by owner, or one of those self managing hosts.
Yeah.
So we're trying to make sure that we're representing the industry as a whole and not just one aspect of it.
Gotcha. And then so then that whole vision and direction is it will be set by the board, and then you guys kind of figure out. And then so you're saying the board meets up twice a year
Mhm.
to think. And then how many people are on the board right now?
Right now we are at, I want to say either 12 or 13 members.
Gotcha.
Mhm.
Wow, that's so cool. That's such a good way to do it. One really, I'm gonna ask something which is really interesting because we're talking about education and that sort of thing. One thing we haven't even touched on in terms of one of those pillars is regulation, which is such a huge part of the industry. And I wasn't. It wasn't really the topic of focus when I was with Boise, and I think that there's the important issues to be had, but I think that holistically we need to look at the industry and say, hey, all good and well, like yes, we have to make sure that regulation is looked after, but also we need to make sure that guests are being looked after and we're educated and we've got successful businesses. Because if we don't have a successful business, the whole thing doesn't make sense anyway, right? Um, I take it regulation is important for you guys, but am I reading into things?
Not at all. No, you're spot on, Bart. Actually, I had a conversation with Scott Leggett, who's known as the godfather of advocacy in our industry, especially in North America. And I keep telling him, we got to keep doing more. And he said, you have to find the unicorns because not everybody wants to get invested in advocacy. It's not exactly the most
Mm,
interesting topic, but it's needed. And so we're focused with our advocacy board. We've just hired an admin that works with advocacy specifically. We started a fund that can help work towards establishing local alliances. There's a lot
mm,
of organizations out there already doing this, but there's so much more work to be done. So that's where that competitive collaboration comes into the mix. And we can all work together to really elevate the industry as a whole. So bringing this admin in, starting this fund, helping to fuel local alliances. In the past 2 years, I've helped establish a local alliance in my state in Oregon that didn't exist before. And I've learned by being in the weeds of how challenging that can be.
sure.
So being able to walk people through that firsthand when you're facing this monumental wall of not knowing where to begin, that's part of the more granular approach we're taking to advocacy with our board.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, that makes complete sense. Okay. Really great insights into how kind of that back end of it all. And I think really understand. I'd like to talk a bit more about the road shows because there's 18 of them. We've got Strive, which we're doing in 2 countries and going into a third country. So doing different countries is pretty challenging. We can't, everyone's on airplanes and different languages and customs and all the rest of it. So it's challenging in that regard. I know that quite a few countries have people doing road shows, but not that many and not in that concentration. Um, what I'd love you to do is just kind of tell me. I mean, I think that the reason why we don't need to labor, I think it's for me, it's obvious. But the more of the what's happening at those road shows would be kind of interesting, I think, for people.
Absolutely. We started it in 2025 last year. We did 4 total, really to establish the proof of concept. Was this worth all of the effort? Do people appreciate when you come to their local market instead of asking them to fly out of state?
Mm,
And we had standing room only at our road shows last year. So we kind of said, okay, this is a need. Let's keep going. And by
right.
coming up with the 18 this year, we're able to accomplish that by going essentially on tour. So if you think of a music band renting a massive bus and hitting the road with stop after stop, that's literally what we're doing.
Are
So
you
we're doing,
you've got a van
we
or a
do.
truck or something?
We have a
Oh,
giant Sprinter van that will seat 15 people, along with all of our AV equipment, and we're road tripping all through Florida starting next week. Our first stop's in Fort Myers, and then we continue along through Orlando, Daytona Beach. We end in Gulf Shores, Alabama. And at every single stop, we have the same agenda and the same format. And so we sit down, we go through local market analytics, very specific to that market. We bring in advocacy and policy experts to talk about what's happening there. Maybe there's a change in the permitting process. Maybe there's legislation that's been affected. Maybe there's no local alliance
yeah.
yet. So that's where that advocacy piece really comes into play. We also work with many of our sponsors. They do a quick presentation. That's how we're able to make this entire roadshow concept happen is thanks to the sponsors that are involved. And then we break for lunch. And then in the afternoon, we have a series of different breakouts. So you can do, for example, a safety training, you can do a cleaning training, you can do revenue management, you can do team building. So it kind of varies based on the stop and the location. But it's really meant for like a property management company to bring their whole team of 5 to 10 people and get them trained on so many things they could not do
Sure.
throughout the year on their own without taking them all to a massive conference that's, again, pretty expensive. So
But and how long is it, a day or 2 days?
it's one day. So it runs from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. And then
Okay.
around 3:30 after we adjourn, then we do kind of a hospitality hour. And that might be at a local pub nearby where it's just networking. It might be a sunset cruise on a boat. It just kind of depends on the stop and location. So
Gotcha.
yeah, but really all
And
about the networking piece and bringing people
yeah,
together.
yeah. Yeah, I think it's amazing, and I mean, to me, it's screaming that you should have like a um, Netflix crew behind you, right? Like from city to city, filming
We
everything, the
have a
bar,
bit of that
good
happening
and the
this year
ugly,
for
you
sure. Yeah.
know.
Yeah. We have tour t-shirts. I mean, these things are going to go on eBay for hundreds of dollars, I suspect at some point.
That's right. That's right. You'll be signing them for for legacy.
The back of the
Um,
shirt literally looks like a music band tour with all this the dates and the cities they're stopping at. So I'm really excited.
That's amazing. That's what I love about going to the States is, when people do things in the States, they do it big, Can we do it bigger? Which is something that I kind of try to do as well when we're running our events here. So, um, okay, so we go to different cities. Attendees, do they have to pay a little bit for a ticket?
So non-members do have to pay just $25.
Right.
Memberships, VR Nation members are allowed to come for free. And then we
Okay,
do a
gotcha.
drive. So you can join on site. The best part is if a company joins, all of their employees fall under that umbrella membership. So it's not by individual
Good.
person.
And then you guys can justify. So obviously, I'd imagine that from a math point of view, and look, I mean, the numbers are so small, it doesn't kind of really matter. But apart from like the effort and that sort of thing, but what I'm getting at is I imagine that the sponsors probably cover those sort of running costs of the events more or less. The money at the door isn't thing, but the other thing that you're doing is driving membership and awareness into VI Nation as a whole. So that's kind of probably the biggest win out of all of it is to cement VI Nation as a brand. Obviously, helping everyone as well, but making sure like you can't do something without a return, right? Or without making sure that that is sustainable and potentially scalable. But I imagine that the membership is probably the last missing piece of the puzzle, right?
It is a big missing piece, yeah. And we've expanded our membership base all over the country now, whereas before we were pretty
Really?
concentrated in the Pacific Northwest. So we've seen a lot of growth over the last, I'd say, year and a half. And
Yeah,
just trying to continue to make sure that membership has its value. It's not just a fee you pay and don't get anything in return. You
yeah,
get discounted rates or to attend the roadshows for free. You get the education piece. You get a community that's online. You get benefits and discounts through all of our sponsors and vendor partners. So we're really trying to make sure that that membership comes with value and it's not just a monthly service charge.
yeah. Understood. That's terrific. That really is cool. That's quite exciting. And how long are we doing the roadshows for? Is it like throughout the whole year? Is it like a whole bunch and then you do another section?
It's throughout the year. So we've got this first tour of 6 stops in Florida. That's called our Beach Biz Tour. Then we do a couple standalone stops. We'll be in Santa Fe, New Mexico in February, as well as in Phoenix. Then we take a little break, prep for our annual conference in April. And then in May, we pick up our second tour, which will be throughout the Carolinas, starting in Pigeon Forge, I think, in about
Yeah,
mid-May. And then we end that, oh my gosh, I want to say in the Outer Banks, I believe.
yeah,
There's so many stops, it's kind of given a blur.
yeah.
And then we
Sure.
have 4 more standalone stops throughout the year. One in June in Bozeman, July, I think in Dallas. We have Traverse City, Michigan, and Ocean City, Maryland in there
Yeah,
too.
so all these places where you're stopping, they're not. I mean, it's a roadshow into major cities. It's not just small regional towns. There's a sizable population that you're into. Um, we're starting getting towards a wrapping up time. Just to give you a heads
Yeah.
up, so I'm gonna ask more kind of quick fire questions as we go. But uh, So
I
you've
wanted to
got.
ask you, I have a
Sorry.
question for you, Bart. So when you were in Boise, you talked about something that Dirk was putting on, and I think you're mentioning the Housekeeping Olympics. Is that what
That's
you?
correct. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So I just want to say this is the most fun, and this really embodies what VR Nation is about: is education, but with a side of fun to it. So
Mhm.
this year in Denver, we're doing our third annual Housekeeping Olympics. So you saw the first one where we're still kind of finding our groove. It's
Yeah.
getting better every year. We have a DJ. We have, there's a bar back in the corner for anyone who wants that. There's 4 different events, like a bed making competition, and the winners get a golden toilet trophy. So this is
That's
getting
amazing.
more and more serious each year. I'm inviting you to participate in Denver.
Oh wow. Oh wow. It's is it a solo thing or do I get to find some teammates?
You got to pick your team. You can do it with a pair or with 2 people total, or sorry, 4 people total. So
Yeah, right. I'll be on the hunt. I love it.
we want to
Um,
watch your bed making skills. Let's see if you can have all of the
when I first started
last 4
out, I was like,
corners is what it's
I don't
about.
know, how to fold a fitted sheet. So there is a video if anyone wants to look at it. It's somewhere in the archives of me folding a fitted sheet, and it took me forever to put that video together, but I did it. So if anyone wants to learn how to do it, scroll like it's 5 years old.
We're going to
Got
have you use
no
it
idea how to do it
for
now.
promoting the Olympics coming up so that people can practice.
Love it. Is there a folding a fitted sheet thing?
At the
You
end,
do
when
it.
so
It's
you're judged
impossible.
on your time and quality, so you can't just throw it together. It has to look right too.
Yeah,
So
that's right. That's
yeah,
right.
and there is a
And
panel of judges making sure that you're
yeah,
doing it well, and you're scored on the quality on top of your time.
yeah. And I remember uh, at the end of or towards the end of the conference, as things were kind of getting quieter, then pretty much every single speaking room had some sort of a bar in it. And like I remember just going there, going, "Oh, there's drinks in here. How good is this?" I'll go to the next one. Like, "Oh, drinks in here." So that was really fun and really good to see. And I think that that's a really good testament to the community that's being built, and what you folks are doing. The workload is huge, but I think that one of the key things that I'm seeing is that there's a strategy behind it, right? So I think that that's obviously going like, well, we're doing this. This is why we're doing this. This is how we're doing this, and this is what our expected outcomes are, which makes it a lot more manageable to actually kind of drive things forward. And I think that for you, the motivation I'm getting feeling is that you get the reward of doing something for people, right? Like it's not just it's not ego driven. I think it's more, hey, oh, we can build something pretty cool and people can really benefit from it.
I think you nailed it, Bart. This is truly my dream job. I love what I get to do every day. I love the people I get to connect, and I really enjoy all of the initiatives that we're putting together and know that we're having an impact and making a true difference. And that's the fuel, honestly. And that's
Yeah,
why everyone who gets involved is involved. And I speak to every person before they join an advisory board. Our entire board of directors
yeah,
heavily interviews anyone before they join when we
yeah.
have seats open. It's not haphazardly. We're looking for unicorns that want to give back and get involved and have fun doing so.
I love it. I've got one final question about the road shows. How do you guys market it from city to city?
Well, if I told you that, I'd give away all our secrets, but I can.
Oh, okay. I will be off the air, but there is a strategy for each city to kind of get out there and get in front of everybody.
Yes, we do have a pretty robust database we've been building since our inception. We have a lot of fantastic partners that cross promote, and we get pretty aggressive between our social channels, our email marketing.
Yeah,
So,
gotcha.
and then we go into
So
the.
it's not like calling up the local newspaper and we're coming to town or the radio station saying, anyone interested in Airbnb?
Might be a touch of that here and there.
Good. Look, I'll leave it at that. Any top tips or final thoughts for people?
Final thoughts. I mean, our events page is up on our website. So if you want to join us at any of these road shows, or please come to Denver, sharpen your skills on your bed making competition awareness. And we'd like to invite everyone to join us. Doesn't matter if you're a single host or a property manager, we welcome everyone.
Amazing. I have one final question. And this is a new thing that I'm doing. if there's one person that I could interview within the industry, not that you think is the best person to interview, but someone that you would love to hear their thoughts on, who would it be?
Oh my gosh. You should have given me a heads up. I could have thought harder on that one. There's probably 20 different people that pop into my mind right out of the gate.
I'll give you one.
I will. I mentioned his name already because I have so much respect for this person and what he's accomplished and what he continues to champion for. And that's Scott Leggett. I've said, if you need an advocacy right-hand person to pick up where you want to leave off when you're ready, if and when, I just love everything he's done. And I really respect his focus. So I think like I mentioned earlier, advocacy is not the most exciting part of our industry, but it's an important, crucial piece. And not everybody wants to pay attention to it or get involved. But I really respect that he's not given up that fight.
Got it. All right, Scott Leggett, you've heard it here. I'll be on next. All right. Thank you so much, Heidi. I really appreciate it. Folks, if you're tuned in on Apple, give us some reviews. Give us those stars. They make all the difference. If you're tuned in on YouTube is really important to us. All you have to do is hit the subscribe button. What it does is it tells everybody, it tells all the algorithms that this is worthwhile content and it's worth watching and that you should be sharing it with more people. Give it a like, a thumbs up. If you've got any questions, then do ask those questions and we will answer them for sure. Heidi, you're awesome. What's the best way to keep in touch with you or with VR Nation?
It's super easy, vrnation.com. So everything we have going on is on that site, and look forward to seeing everybody at our events this year. So thanks so much, Bart. Really appreciate you letting me join today.
It's been a lot of fun. Thank you. Take care.
Thanks.